And we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the after show / the Best Phone Plans podcast. We had a really exciting guest planned. Unfortunately, weren't able to make it, so we're going to try and reschedule. But here we are. Dennis and I are here today talking about AT&T's new Elite plan, the 3 big things they changed with that plan. We're also going to be talking about the recent Mint Mobile data breach, as well as some updates related to coverage and 5G performance. So, Dennis, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic as always.
Love to hear that, Dennis.
And how are you?
I'm doing well. Doing mighty fine myself. Back in the studio. It's great to be back in Colorado. Have the green screen set up behind me so we look classy on camera. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, consider tuning into our live streams. We go live typically every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. But Dennis, there was some thunderous news today that actually it was this past week that AT&T launched their Unlimited Elite plan, and they didn't launch it. They relaunched it. They repowered it. They brought it to the max, some might say. So what happened this week with AT&T Elite?
Oh, so basically AT&T Elite took a page from Magenta Max and decided to give true unlimited data on your phone. They also decided to upgrade or increase the amount of hotspot data you get on your phone at full speeds from 30 gigs to 40 gigabytes. And lastly, they introduced their advanced security that they call it, which is like their VPN to everybody that's on the
I didn't even read about that. You're going to have to tell me about that. My last thing was that they now give you free international data after 10 days of international travel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, but what's going on? AT&T launched their own VPN. Like, what is going on with that?
No, yeah, they always have. They call it their advanced security, but basically, like, think of like a crappy McAfee or a Norton, you know?
Okay.
You download the app on your phone, you connect to Wi-Fi, it'll tell you that, like, hey, this is open Wi-Fi, and it'll offer you to, like, use, like, AT&T's VPN.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes sense, Dennis. Okay. So yeah, what are your thoughts? What are your initial impressions? And if you're watching us on the live stream right now, throw it in the chat. Like, we've got Juan here, we've got Cade here, we've got Jaime here, Geeky Random Tech Videos, Prodigy Dude, Karaoke, Alex Brown. If you're watching this stream right now, I want to know what your thoughts are on the new AT&T Elite plan. But for now, Dennis, what are your thoughts? What went through your mind as you read the headlines and you saw this news come out?
I basically was like, AT&T has made it clear that they are the king when it comes to unlimited plans.
I mean, because T-Mobile is basically matching this with Magenta Max. Like, AT&T saw Magenta Max, went control copy, control paste, and they slapped an AT&T logo on it. So is this plan better? How do you see it fitting into the landscape?
I see it as being 1,000% better for
1,000% better. Dennis, I'm no expert. That's a lot of percent. Why 1,000%?
Okay, 3 main reasons. One, I actually think it's better value because AT&T has so many different ways to get discounts. I mean, there's the signature program, there's the military discounts, there's the AT&T bundling with Uverse. So AT&T's Unlimited Elite plan for a lot of AT&T customers isn't the sticker price that you're seeing on there. I guarantee you there's a way to get a discount. I mean, even talked about ARP, remember?
Yeah, AARP. Yeah, it's really the signature program, and then it's for qualifying businesses, students, nurses, teachers. You mentioned military personnel, first responders.
My company.
Yeah, a huge group of people are actually eligible for the $10 discount, and that's going to bring the cost of Elite down to the cost of Extra. So you might as well go for it. Like, it's an amazing value for that. Cheaper than T-Mobile, too. And we actually had a question in the chat from that Tony Adams. What's the cost? The cost is staying exactly the same, $85 per month for one line, and then it's going to continue having that same multi-line discount as before. Although, Dennis, as you were talking about with that signature discount, drops the price down to just $75 per month.
And to expand upon that just a little bit further on the pricing structure, I appreciate that AT&T does allow mixing and matching, something that T-Mobile does not allow for.
This is so true, Dennis. Now, I will counter that lightly with that my plan that is mixed and matched is causing problems for me because I currently can't turn off Stream Saver and I can't get HD video. But I think in general, what mix and match allows you to do is get way more affordable plans for people who don't need them. Like, let's say your kids, there's no way they need a bunch of hotspot data and premium data. Like, give them the cheapest plan available. They're not paying for their service. Whereas you can treat yourself, get that top tier plan on AT&T, get the hotspot data, get that HBO Max, and really enjoy the service.
And you actually hit the head on something I wanted to mention. It has to do with HBO Max. I think it's an infinitely better streaming service than Netflix. And on top of that, I appreciate that AT&T doesn't penalize single user customers. If you're a single user on with AT&T, you get HBO Max, you'll get all the perks, right? With T-Mobile, you get the crappy Netflix for free. It's like the $9 one, right?
It's pretty bad. Yep,
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
So T-Mobile penalizes you and kind of punishes you for being like a one-line user.
I will again just lightly counter that with T-Mobile does include all taxes and fees. And for people like myself not currently eligible for any of the AT&T Signature Program discounts, that's going to make T-Mobile's plan cheaper. Let's say AT&T charges $4 plus for taxes and fees. It's about $4 to upgrade your Netflix plan on T-Mobile. So
you know what? I'll give it really into your court. Let's say that they charge like $10 because that's probably
for
more
taxes and fees. Yeah, they definitely do.
But I'll just say this, like I was going for though, if you get any of their discounts, you're not really paying like $85. You're probably paying like $65 for their line with their discounts. You know what I'm saying?
So it sounds like kind of a if question. Like I would say like if you get the discounts, AT&T Elite hands down, no questions asked. If you don't get the discounts, I honestly would see it more of a toss-up between
not after I
Unlimited
say my
Elite
third reason.
And Magenta Max. All right, Dennis, what's your third reason?
AT&T actually has a network that works.
Yeah, that's a pretty compelling reason.
I was going to say, listen, they have a network that can actually let you make full use of that unlimited data. T-Mobile does not.
Yeah. I think that varies a little bit based on coverage. Like, honestly, from my testing in my area, and I know your experience is different, so we'll kind of bounce off. So my area, T-Mobile, amazing. I've got N41, over 300 megabits per second down in my apartment. Love Magenta Max, absolutely perfect. AT&T, I'm going grocery shopping, barely getting signal in the store, can't load my grocery list, like not a good experience for me. So in my market, I'm going T-Mobile. But Dennis, what's going on in your market and probably like 90% of the other markets out there?
Well, basically, T-Mobile just doesn't have the cell sites in the places that they need to have them. Like, they just don't have good handoffs. That's the reason why their call quality is so bad, something so basic. And where they do have cell sites, they're not all being treated equally when it comes to upgrades. Some are getting N41 40 megahertz, some are getting 60 megahertz, some are getting revisited for 100 megahertz upgrades, but then they're cheaping out and not upgrading the backhaul, so you're not getting to take advantage of the full throughput, or they're positioning in awkward ways, and they're just doing it in a very like shoddy way where like they're not doing things right, and it just shows in the performance. Like, for example, when I was at my apartment, right, I was lucky to crack double-digit numbers. And by double digits, I mean like 10 megabits per second, right? At my new house on a third floor, very clear line of sight to towers, I'm lucky to crack 20-ish megabits per second. I'm on the third floor, Stetson. Clear line of sight. Very close to a tower. Like, we're talking like less than a mile. Like, wow. Very close, right?
Yeah.
That's not great. Same location, AT&T, 200 to 400 megabits per second. On its worst of days, maybe 100 megabits per second. But I'm never dropping below 100, ever, period. Like, just period. And honestly, if we're talking about consistency of experience, I don't think I've ever had a time where AT&T wasn't pulling a double-digit number. Like, even if I went out into the most rural PA, I'm talking like one bar of service, just connecting the band 17 alone, I'm still probably getting like 25 megabits per second, which is usable. Yep. Cannot say that about T-Mobile.
Yeah, Dennis, I think I wholeheartedly agree with you on the rural aspect. I think that's an area that T-Mobile can improve upon. And from their Investor Day presentations, they're like, yeah, we're going to focus on rural. We'll see what happens. But I mean, for me, it's literally flipped. I get hundreds, 300, 400, 500 megabits per second down in my apartment on T-Mobile, whereas on AT&T, like I'm barely pushing past 20 megabits per second.
But 20 megabits is usable at your house, and if you go anywhere outside your house, that one little area where there's that N41, I know AT&T is probably better.
Yeah, I think it varies. Like T-Mobile is very strong in my market, and I guess it's just like for the audience listening, I would check coverage maps. I would do the T-Mobile free trial, right? Just see if it's good because, if it is great, if it's not, go with AT&T. But yeah, I'm really happy with AT&T and what they've been able to offer with their Unlimited Elite plan. Dennis, here's the question. Actually, one quick thing. The $10 per day international day passes, I wanted to touch on that.
I think it's fantastic.
I think it's an absolute joke. Are you kidding me? I think it's terrible. Hear me out. I think it's terrible because in order to get free international data, it's after 10 days. So you would have already paid $10 per day for 10 days, $100 dollars on top of the Unlimited Elite plan, $85 plus taxes and fees. You're looking at $200 per month just to get that quote unquote free international data. I think way better to go with a solution like US Mobile's international eSIM plans or Airlo's international eSIM plans, which are like $15 for 5 gigs in all across Europe. So that's my only gripe is like, yeah, I guess it could be good, but really just like go international eSIM plan.
I mean, you already heard me before when I say this, but if you travel, I'm all about getting the domestic SIM in the country. However, I think $10 a day is fair because it's unlimited data.
Yeah, this is true.
It's unlimited data. That's the important word here. So if you want to blow through 20 gigabytes, which is very easy since you're probably not going to be around Wi-Fi when you're traveling that much, right? And the hotel Wi-Fi is probably not that good. This is great. And the key word here, again, is it's unlimited data at full speeds. It's not throttled. It's not 120 kilobits. It's full unlimited data. So I don't think it's that bad. And plus, it depends. It depends on the length of the trip, too, right? Like, if I'm taking a month vacation, right? $100 for unlimited across all the different countries I'll be going throughout Europe or something like that. I mean, it's not that terrible. I mean, I probably would have paid like $20 in UK, maybe $20 in Italy, and then maybe $25.
I mean, that's just where I think like US Mobile's eSIM, because I think you get it for free. First of all, like free, Dennis, free. Like there's no it's free included, and it works all across the European countries. So I
guess it's about comparing. It's about comparing it's about comparing the options too, right? Like,
yeah,
if we compare it to what Verizon and T-Mobile does, like T-Mobile's data passes aren't that cheap either. Like,
well, I think it's like $50 for 15 gigs, if I'm remembering correctly, which I think it's decent, and it's still half the cost of what AT&T is offering. So, like, of the big three, I would rank T-Mobile's number one because international data is included, even though it's slow. And then I think the upgrades are much more affordable. I would put AT&T as number two because it's literally like the best, like unlimited high-speed data. You can't beat that. But it's also expensive. And the Verizon is just like bad and expensive. So
I'd say it's fair, although I think Verizon's only $10 a day as well, if I remember.
Yeah, but you're getting half a gig of high-speed data. And then you're throttled down to, I think, like 128 kilobits per second. So it's really, you can't do a lot on half a gig of data per day. People, I think, easily use more than that.
Oh, for sure. Especially, like I said, especially when you're traveling.
Yeah, right? Like you want, like, oh, I guess there goes our Google Maps. Like,
Well, I mean, you could just do what I did and just download your Google Maps for offline viewing so that when you're connected to that really crappy 2G data, it still works.
Okay, I think what we got to talk about now, Dennis, AT&T upgraded their Elite plan. Verizon has remained silent. No changes have been made to Verizon Get More Unlimited. Dennis, what do you think Verizon will do? Do they need to respond? What will that response look like?
I say nothing happens. Not till end of year.
Dennis, I am sad to say this, but I wholeheartedly agree with you. Why do you think Verizon is going to stay stagnant and not do anything?
Because they have other ways of retaining their customers. They got the really aggressive, break a phone type of deal promotion going on, right? And also, ultimately, I just don't think they're in the position at the moment, from a networking standpoint, that they want to be adding on that additional traffic.
Yeah. I think something I commented on, so I agree with you. I think it comes down to, like you mentioned, two big reasons. Number one, I don't think they need to from a marketing standpoint. I think their coverage and their performance, like what Verizon is known for, carries their plans. Like people want Verizon, they want the coverage, they want that reliability. And number two, I don't think their network can handle it. the last update Verizon made to their most premium plan, the Get More plan. So it was previously the Above Unlimited plan. It was rebranded to the Get More Unlimited plan. I believe it was August 2020. And when that change happened, Verizon actually decreased the amount of priority data from 75 gigs to 50 gigs. So I really think that Verizon is having congestion issues, and I don't think they want to add to that by giving people uncapped, like a green card to abuse the network.
I mean, as someone that tests out Verizon, I know there's congestion a little bit in my market as well with them, but I will just say, like, I don't know if it's necessarily an issue about handling on the network. I just think that it's more of a profit-driven thing more than anything. Like if you look on the business side, Verizon does offer those really good unlimited plans, right? But for businesses and enterprises, like where the big money's at, and it's kind of like one of those things, like once you do it, right, like you can't really go back, right? And Verizon sort of has that moniker in people's heads where they're premium, so they get to charge that top dollar. And while that mindset is there, they're gonna milk every last penny that they can. Why would they want to forego growth, right? Why would they want to forego revenue growth if they don't have to? And I'm sure Verizon's more than happy to shed off customers that aren't profitable or the people that abuse network, right? Like Verizon doesn't want the person that uses a terabyte of data on their network.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, get out of here, buddy.
Yeah, like they don't care. Like they rather have the grandma that uses 2 gigabytes and is paying for an unlimited leap or unlimited Go More plan or whatever.
Absolutely. Do you think they could, like, when they're ready to maybe launch this, like, let's say, I'm seeing in the comments a lot of people are theorizing, hypothesizing that C-band could help fix this. We have G-Buck saying C-band might do this. With the 3.5 gigahertz spectrum, adding capacity, maybe Verizon does it. Do you think they'll update their existing plans or come out with another, like, get more, even more unlimited plan?
I think what they'll do is they'll come up with new plans to follow along with upgrades, where they'll do some things to enhance things. Maybe they bump the resolution up to 1080p or something like that on the Play More, right? But I still think we're going to see some unfair treatment. Like Verizon's unlimited starter is still not going to get access to like 5G millimeter wave and stuff like that, for example. Like I still think that's going to be a thing. Like I think they're going to do that to try to upsell you into like the 10, even though it's only an extra $10, I think they're going to still try to upsell you. Maybe they do something to make the Play More and Get More plans a little bit better, because they're kind of like the Get More is kind of. Am I saying the right one? Is that the one that's like really bad, where it's like 6 months of Apple Music and it's not good?
So you're probably thinking of Do More.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's the naming.
Yeah, so they'll look at doing something to redo Do More, and then Get More might get like maybe more priority data. I don't know if they'll go unlimited LTE, or if they do, there'll probably be some type of caveat in there.
Interesting. Albertizzi saying they'll do it. It's inevitable. Dennis, how important do you think this is for average consumers? The premium data, like, do people care about this? Yeah, dude. This is what I'm working on a video on it, and my thesis is basically, you know, we have Cisco's annual internet report, which I reference constantly because it's like one of the only reports I've been able to find in a really rock solid data set. But they say only 4% of people use over 50 gigs per month. So that means with the previous plan, like only 4% of customers are going to notice a difference when they go over on AT&T Unlimited Extra. Which
that was 50. That was 50 gigs.
Yeah,
Elite already had 100 gigs of priority.
So maybe a fraction of a percent, like literally no one is going to notice a difference. And on top of that, yeah, I really just don't think, like, people aren't going to use over 100 gigs.
Well, on top of that too, it's a matter of priority data only matters if the networks are congested, and even if the network's congested, you're all affected poorly. AT&T's clearly demonstrated they have capacity.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, like, even if you are deprioritized, like the ending of my video, I'm kind of saying, like, you might as well consider starter. Like, it's honestly not a bad plan if you're on a family and want to save some money. I doubt you'd notice a difference between starter and elite. And I have data sets, and I'm working on a video myself to try and see if I'm right or if I'm totally off here. But I think AT&T has the capacity.
Oh, they definitely do in spades. But I want to take a quick moment because we just got an awesome super chat from Franco. Thank you so much, my friend. He says he has the Unlimited Elite plan, and it was great before, but AT&T has crazy congestion right now. I went from having 200 megabits per second down to like 30 to 35. Thoughts? I'm literally about to order a new SIM. My thoughts are that we talked about this before, but anything over 25 megabits per second to me is fine.
Yeah, I agree with Dennis. So yeah, Franco, if you want to try getting a new SIM and maybe it's like $10, sure, go for it. But honestly, like, yes, even though you're noticing the network increase in congestion, I think you're still getting plenty usable speeds. You're probably still able to do everything you want to do on the network. And I think you're fine, man. Like, honestly, that's how the cell industry works. That's
I mean, to be clear, like when I talk about congestion, like I think we need to take a quick moment to highlight what we mean by congestion. When we talk about congestion, we're talking about latency that is like crazy high to the point where your speed test server might like fail to actually run, or your download speeds are like less than say 15 megabits per second. Like now we're starting to get into like territory now where you might have a little bit of issue. I mean, even 15 is okay if it's consistent, but like now we're starting to get somewhere, and then your upload speeds are like 0.1 or something stupid like that. Like that's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about congestion. And then there's also usually some high packet loss involved sometimes too.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people are saying, like on Verizon, deprioritization is noticeable. There's a really clear distinction between having priority data and being deprioritized on Verizon. AT&T, they simply have the network capacity. Like, even though you have different tiered plans, you're going to get pretty great performance regardless of which plan you have, and you're going to get fast and usable speeds. And that's ultimately the point. So,
also, I just want to... Oh, sorry. I just want to take one...
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I just want to take one quick thing. I saw a couple comments that were talking about like you know, my love for AT&T or whatever. I want to be clear here. I don't have any love for any particular company. If we go back, I don't even know how many episodes at this point, but I definitely had a bit where I like chewed AT&T out for their terrible billing system. And Stetson, I know that's something that you agree with. Like,
it's abysmal.
Their customer service is not like customer service is the wrong word, but like their interaction with their product, I guess, and services is just god awful. But I think there's a pretty common consensus, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we go on to one of the next topics of today, that AT&T has a very strong network, and it is continuing to get better every single year, especially thanks to all these great contracts they've been winning from the government with like the Firstnet bid, as well as some of the other things that they've been getting recently.
Yeah, absolutely. And we actually have another super chat. So Game and Life coming in asking, or actually saying, T-Mobile goes from 300 megabits per second to 25 megabits per second, depending on what part of town you're on. Still lets me do my stuff on it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's building a cellular network, right? Where some areas are going to have great coverage, great capacity. Other areas simply are going to have less coverage and less capacity and slower speeds. So it really depends on your usage. But Dennis, I mean, you've said it before and you'll say it again. If you're getting over 25 megabits per second, you're probably fine. You can do everything you need to do on your smartphone
for now. And the most and the most important thing here is what I'm looking for in a good cell phone network is I need a certain level of bare minimum consistency of what I can expect, right? That's the most important thing, especially to like businesses and stuff like that, right? Like you need a bar minimum of like what you can experience. 25 megabits per second right now should be the benchmark. But eventually, as 5G continues to mature, we should be targeting 100 megabits per second. And something that people just always overlook is ping times. Ping times are so important. It's not just for gaming. It's for loading web pages and stuff too. If you have a crazy high latency of like 1,000 milliseconds, it doesn't matter if you have a really fast connection. It's going to take forever for those clicks on the web page to respond. So your latency needs to be stable, and just overall cell phone shrink too. Like when you have weak signal, it's going to affect the performance of your phone's battery life, right? I think that's a thing. And also like call quality, like basic things like call handoff, right? You know, it shows in like root metrics reports and other people that talk about it, but like T-Mobile is notoriously known for having terrible call quality, and it has to do with how they have their cell phone network and their macro cell sites basically spaced out and positioned throughout many communities. It's just not properly optimized, and the density just isn't there. They're not focusing on small cells, which is an important part of the component. In fact, a better example that highlights the difference in network engineering and approach is look at like a football stadium like Heinz Field, okay? T-Mobile is allergic to the word DAS. Okay, they don't have a single DAS site, no small cells, nothing.
So
okay?
what is a DAS? Can you like explain like I'm in 5th grade what it is? Is it adding capacity? Is it like my phone's connecting to it? Like just fundamentally, what is this doing?
Give me 1 second to... It stands for distributed antenna system, and basically, yeah, its main purpose is to add capacity.
Okay, so T-Mobile is at a stadium where there's typically lots of people, and they have no capacity.
Basically, yeah, they're relying on a macro site that's outside the stadium instead of
Oh
having
no!
instead of having small cells and stuff like that in the stadium that actually have their own backhaul ran to it. They're relying on something completely outside the stadium, which is not a good experience. And when you're in a densely packed area like that, like a football stadium where everybody's on Snapchat trying to upload to Instagram and stuff like that, those are the moments when the congestion gets so bad that T-Mobile, literally, you get disconnected from the network entirely and can't even place a phone call kind of bad. Whereas someone like AT&T, who did it right and has the small cells, maybe you're not getting triple digits per se unless they have 5G plus, but you might be getting 50, 100 megabits per second. That is really, really good when you have a stadium packed with 100,000 people in that tight of an area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great point. So for sure, all the networks are striving to improve and get better. I think, Dennis, with AT&T Unlimited Elite, it's probably the number one best cell phone plan in the United States industry right now.
Premium.
Yeah, we should clarify that. I think there's a better value. And in fact, I'm just going to add this to the stream for people tuning into the live stream. AT&T Unlimited Prepaid. They have this plan. It's called Prepaid Unlimited Plus. You're getting 22 gigs of priority data, exact same speed and performance as AT&T Unlimited Extra. So this is the same as their postpaid plans. You're getting 10 gigs of high-speed hotspot data. You're getting HD video streaming, 100 gigs of cloud storage, and the same unlimited high-speed international data roaming in Canada and Mexico, which AT&T is basically known for. So I think this plan comes in at $50 a month, which is literally
definitely better value.
$25 less than Extra, saves you $300 a year. And I think it saves, what's 35 times 12? It saves you $420 per year in comparison to Elite. My whole goal here is to help people save money, find what's affordable and what works for them. I would seriously consider AT&T Unlimited Plus as the best value unlimited plan on the AT&T network.
Yeah, it's really good. In fact, the only way Elite becomes better is if you have those discounts we were talking about. Because if Elite's say 65 and that's 50, well, then HBO Max to me makes it worth it.
Well, HBO Max is $15, so I would almost...
Right, I said if AT&T Elite's 65.
So it's the same price.
Yeah.
With the current pricing, if you don't get any discounts, you can get the AT&T prepaid plan and HBO Max and still save money. So
right.
It's pretty cool.
Right. And I will just say, too, what's nice about the prepaid is I don't think it has all the fees associated with it the postpaid does.
Oh, you are so right. Yeah, the fees are $1 as opposed to $10. It's crazy. And I think the final note is if you have a family plan, then I would either do mix and match or throw everyone on Elite. That's where the cost per line of Elite drops to $45, which is much more reasonable. Dennis, we have a surprise bonus question that I think might be fun to talk about from our friend Debo Pop or Hyper Cyan. I don't care. Stetson and Dennis, how do you think Firstnet would fare if T-Mobile had won the contract?
I think there would be a lot of people dying right now. I'm not joking.
It would be disconnected.
I'm saying rural communities where fires are happening wouldn't have cell phone service. Just period.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I think it's a very good thing AT&T won the contract. I have higher confidence in their thoroughness and expertise in building out networks and doing it right. Dennis, do they have the one-touch policy? Is that them?
Yeah, AT&T is the one that has the one-touch policy. So every time they visit a cell site, they're basically ripping everything out and upgrading to the latest and greatest, making sure there's 4x4 MIMO, 5-way carrier ag, upgrading the backhaul, making sure there's backup power there, not some rinky-dinky generator on wheels, actual proper backup power. So if a power out happens, they're doing it right, and it shows.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm happy AT&T won. I think that is the answer to that question. Dennis, should we move on to the Mint Mobile data breach? This was kind of a hot topic on Reddit. Lots of thoughts on this.
I wanted to, since we're on this rule talking about networks, I wanted to move on to the RootMetrics thing.
Oh, that's great. Well, we'll if you're tuning in, stay tuned to our data breach section if you might want to consider hearing about that. I'm a Mint Mobile customer, so this is important to me. Dennis, let's segue on to the networks and the coverage segment of this after show / podcast. And I'll try and bring this up right now. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, so RootMetrics came out with a report. It's a nice little PDF doc. If you want to, can you share it on the screen by the chance?
Yep. I'm pulling it up now. I was just doing the old loading.
Sweet. So yeah, basically RootMetrics doing their thing. They came out with their report for 2021. And specifically, I want to highlight the third page of the doc. where it shows the performance across the United States for the carriers. If you can just hit like control, there you go. Yeah, so this is for Q1 of 2021 for the 3 carriers across the board. They did their different measurements to basically showcase various things such as overall ranking, and we see Verizon does ever so slightly across the board still have that like crown, but AT&T like literally 0.4 difference as far as markers, and then T-Mobile is legit like 6 points behind Verizon right now.
Yeah, I mean, this has pretty much been, I want to say, how the networks have ranked pretty consistently for the last 10 to 20 years. Verizon has become known for having some of the best coverage, the most reliability, and typically really great data speeds. AT&T usually a very close second, and T-Mobile in last. And that's why T-Mobile has been really pushing deals and affordable plans.
Right, but I mean, it's never been this close. Like, there was always a little bit of a coverage gap, especially if we were talking about like LT availability. Like, a lot of AT&T's coverage up until maybe like the last couple of years was actually still running on HSPA plus 3G, right? So it's never been this close, and it shows in accessibility and the speed markers too. Like, look at the speed. Look at where AT&T starts to take off here. Like, that's insane.
Dennis, what do you think is happening here? Is this related to more and more customers? Like, we know Verizon has the most customers overall in their network. Do you think that extra capacity or the extra congestion Verizon might be experiencing is contributing potentially to their slower speeds and performance?
I think it's 3 factors. One is that Verizon was the most spectrum starved of the carriers. AT&T had a pretty diverse spectrum asset portfolio, even though it was kind of not contingent. They had to do a lot of carrier aggregation to take advantage of it. They did have a lot of spectrum. And then they got more from the Firstnet deal too, with the extra funding that goes along with that.
Yeah.
2 is that Verizon is the largest carrier, and with current things that have been going on in the market where they were forced to unleash unlimited plans, they probably saw increased usage, and there's just more customers in general that are using Verizon. So as such, more customers, less spectrum, slower speeds to go around. And then 3 is that AT&T kind of has an unfair, I'm not going to say unfair advantage, but they're kind of getting a lot of like good opportunities to improve upon certain areas. Like we were talking about the government contracts. Like, it's not just FirstNet. Like, they're getting like these like Department of Defense contracts as well for like military bases, which is giving them the ability to put towers in locations that you wouldn't otherwise be allowed to have access to. They have a really large footprint as far as their core infrastructure with their AT&T U-verse, so they have the ability to do a lot more for running their own backhaul. Now, I mean, we've seen Verizon Fios start to pick back up with their, I can't remember the name of their policy, where they're expanding Fios to link up to the millimeter wave. Do you know what the word I'm looking for?
No,
it's an initiative that Fios just started, but for a while there, for like the past 6 years, Fios, like, they weren't focusing on Fios, so their footprint was pretty small. AT&T has been continuing to grow and take advantage of like FCC broadband funding. So AT&T has the larger footprint and the larger cash flow. Well, I don't know if they have the larger cash flow, but they have the larger footprint. They've been getting a lot more government money to do things, which is starting to pay dividends for them.
Yeah, that's absolutely clear as day. I mean, AT&T has been improving a lot, catching up to Verizon, lapsing them in some areas. I think this is a win for consumers. Like, the carriers, the major network operators are competing against each other, trying to win your dollar and trying to offer the best performance and experience possible. And I think we should maybe bring in some other reports too here, Dennis. So this ranking from, remind me of the source here. This is RootMetrics. So they were putting number 1 as Verizon and number 2 as AT&T for their rankings. This is a report I found from Tutela, and we can kind of see how they're ranking the networks. This is a little bit older. It's their 2020 experience report that came out September 2020. And if we just jump down to their rankings, it's kind of surprising. They actually give T-Mobile the edge in some scenarios. So consistent quality, they're giving a tie between Verizon and T-Mobile. Core consistent quality, they're giving to AT&T. And what core consistent quality is the ability to connect to the network, stream standard definition video, and pretty much use your phone as you normally would. Whereas the excellent consistent quality is basically being able to stream 4K video and get really fast performance. So
Well, I find that weird that Verizon got it then because they don't allow for 4K streaming at all.
Yeah, I think they were probably basing it off of speeds and saying like if you have these speeds, then you can stream 4K as opposed to the actual data streaming speeds. Because you're right, Dennis. Like Verizon is hands down the worst network for video streaming quality. But I think it really is just like overall Verizon and T-Mobile tended to have faster speeds in more locations, but AT&T had usable speeds in more locations.
And I just think it's worth highlighting since this was older. This is also before like T-Mobile really started switching a lot of Sprint customers over and decommissioning as many cell sites on the Sprint side they've been doing.
Absolutely true. And I think we've also seen N41 roll out even more this year. So I think T-Mobile is making, I would say right now, some of the most noticeable improvements, but AT&T and Verizon are still like pretty far ahead. Or maybe not pretty far, but they're like still in the lead.
I mean, I'll say this. If we were in a void, T-Mobile's definitely a better T-Mobile today than they've ever been before as far as raw coverage footprint.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, I really like the root metrics test and how they did it because they have like a secondary tab where like they look at like the previous year and they show you like how many tests they had in like a major market where it was between 10 and 20 megabits per second. And then they'll show you again like how many tests that carrier had. Like it's on if you look under the carrier section, like you'll see second quarter of 2020 versus first quarter of 2021 for T-Mobile, for example. They had 4 tests where they had between 0 and 10 megabits per second. Yeah, you're on the right page.
Yep, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like if you look back in 2020, they had 58 tests where they were between 10 and 20 megabits per second. Now that improved. Now it's only 19. That's improved quite dramatically, right?
Yeah.
But if you look and compare that to like an AT&T has 0 tests where they're between 0 and 10.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of like the core network performance, kind of what they were talking about there. But yeah, wow.
Yeah. So I mean, all carriers are getting better, which is great for consumers. That's what we want. We want 3, ideally 4 when Dish comes into the game. Strong competitors where we can choose to pick the person not just based off of the network coverage available, but also look at things like the plan and what they're offering for the price, as well as customer service and other like soft details that get overlooked in the whole overarching experience with a carrier.
Absolutely. And the other report I had here, so I just want to go back to this is looking pretty similar. This is from OpenSignal. And I think this might also be a little bit. No, this is 2021. So January 2021 USA report. They gave. I mean, this is so perplexing to me. Verizon won the video experience category. That makes absolutely no sense. They're the worst network for streaming video. But again, maybe it's related to overall speeds or something like that. Games, Verizon tied with T-Mobile. Voice
Probably
app
has to do with
experience.
latency.
Yeah, latency. That's what I'm guessing. AT&T rather won the download speed experience though, and I think that's kind of what we've been seeing. Like they have a good network, getting consistently fast speeds.
I think it's ironic that the upload speed went to T-Mobile though.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they were using for their testing for this, but I feel like the other providers would probably do better.
I 100% agree with that sentiment since upload is based off like low band anchor,
Yeah.
And upload's also much more impacted by like signal to noise ratio, which due to T-Mobile's spacing of their cell sites is going to mean that I just don't see how they got that.
Also, wait a minute. Look at 4G availability. Joint winner, Verizon and T-Mobile? That's not right.
Maybe it's the amount of time they were connected to LTE on the network versus no signal at all type of deal.
Yeah, that might be it. I don't know.
Because T-Mobile doesn't really have anything outside of their LTE, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I think interesting reports. Root Metrics is probably the one that has the most data. I've been contributing a lot with their free application, and it's been really cool to see. So, yeah, the networks are getting better, and they're getting more competitive, and we're excited for C-band that'll be coming soon.
Most definitely. And to go back to the original docket, though, if you could, I just think we should just look at the overall average median for the 3 carriers. It's at the pretty much top. If you go back to the top, yep, right there. We'll just see like if we're talking about differences in speed too. At least as far as a median average, it's not actually as bad as like it could be, right? Like 40 compared to 34 compared to 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's pretty good. I mean, to your point, Dennis, like these speeds are fast enough for everything we need our phones for today, and that's great to see.
Yeah, I just hope that T-Mobile can really focus on their network and stop trying to cut corners. Because if we look at the top graph once again, like there's a pretty big point disparity across the board as far as reliability, accessibility, overall speed, data, and even the most basic functions, calling and texting. I know, Stetson, you don't do a lot of texting outside of me,
Yeah.
but like it's such a basic feature that it should be up there with that 99% thing, right? Like that's something that you don't mess up. Like I don't know how you can mess it up because it literally uses like a byte of data to send a text message. So how do you mess that up, you know?
I have no idea. Like, how do you have bad texting quality? I mean, Verizon and AT&T are within point 0.1 of each other, and it just works, you know?
Yeah, like that's what you want. You just want it to work. And that's what T-Mobile needs to really start focusing on, I believe, personally.
Absolutely. All right, should we segue ourselves on over to the Mint Mobile data breach, kind of talk about what's going on there?
Yeah, but there's a lot of questions coming. You don't want to highlight some of these questions real quick?
Oh, sure. Good call, Dennis. Let's see. Where do you want to start?
You pick, man. There's a bunch that came in, so.
Show what provider is best in Texas. So I like using route metrics for the coverage map, and I'll link this in the show notes and throw it in the live stream chat right now if you want to check it out. They do a really good job kind of doing speed tests across the nation and testing it out. So let's see market. I want to find a Texas market. How about San Antonio, Texas? If we go to San Antonio, we're actually getting AT&T as the award winner in terms of overall performance, network reliability, accessibility, and stuff.
It's not surprising since AT&T's headquartered down in Texas. So
yeah, I would hope they'd be getting their headquarters.
I think they're headquartered in Houston, though.
I would say AT&T or Verizon are probably going to be your better options. And if you really wanted to go and test, you can just go to the live coverage map here. And I do not want to zoom to my location. Thank you very much. And we can just zoom into Texas. And this is the AT&T network. So you can kind of see like what this is looking like. And we can do the T-Mobile network and see you're getting more, it's more splotchy. There's more areas that either don't have coverage or have not been tested yet. And if we do the Verizon network, it's just blanketed. So I would consider Verizon or AT&T, and it just kind of depends on your area. You could even consider doing the T-Mobile free trial if you wanted to see if it works for you.
Yeah, that's a really good way to test it out. I don't know how to say your name, man, but he's saying that he's getting no signal on his 5G, and it's horrible. Yeah, 5G for T-Mobile primarily at the moment is running on N71. Typically, it's a 5 by 5 megahertz channel. So, yeah, your experience on 5G is going to not necessarily be great unless you're connecting to N41. Otherwise, you might be better off on LTE with like band 66, band 2, carrier ag type of deal. But even then, T-Mobile wasn't really remarkably well known for their LTE network. I would say that was probably they probably still are the weakest in that front.
Absolutely. Yeah, T-Mobile wasn't the best in LTE. 5G, I think, is actually, they're doing really well. But
if there's N41.
If there's N41, it's kind of like this if-then kind of thing. So, yeah, I think, Dennis, I think that's coverage. I mean, if we wanted to, I can bring the map up, and this is kind of just a fun... Oh, I got rid of Dennis. That was my mistake. Dennis, come back. This is a kind of a cool look at just how the networks are comparing. So this is Verizon's network. I'll zoom back out so you get a bird's eye view of this. You can kind of see their 5G network is concentrated in cities, and you can kind of see some people were doing tests on highways, which is why we're getting like these strings across the country where the highway routes are. But overall, not very widespread. Then if we do T-Mobile, boom, huge 5G network, but that doesn't necessarily mean faster speeds. That just means T-Mobile is upgraded.
And I think it's really important that you notice one thing. If you slice the U.S. down the middle and go towards the East Coast, T-Mobile's decent, right?
Yeah.
Go anywhere Midwest, look at all that blank.
It's so blank. It's so true. And if
even California, look at California. That's a pretty like populated state on the West Coast. That's not good.
If we do AT&T, you can see great coverage footprint. 5G availability is more than Verizon, but less than T-Mobile. And similar as before, like AT&T's LTE network is already so good that you don't really need a 5G device. Like, you're probably fine.
You're honestly better off not connecting to 5G.
Yeah, that's the truth right now. So, yeah, that's coverage. Shall we move on?
I'm happy to move on now. Yeah.
This is the hot topic. I mean, I saw this on Reddit and I was really disheartened. I love Mint Mobile and I use them personally, but they did have a data breach, and I think it's important to cover that in the news and talk about what this could mean for you and what is going on here. So this is the post on Mint Mobile. This is the subreddit, and it's linking to bleepingcomputer.com. What happened? Let's start there. Mint Mobile was hit by a data breach after numbers were reported and the data was accessed. So basically what this post is saying is that a small number of subscribers, that hasn't been confirmed what it was, the exact number, but they were hit with I think it was a social engineering data breach where an individual or an organization basically got these people's numbers to be ported from Mint Mobile to another carrier without the consent of the actual owners of the plans. And once a port has taken place, the I don't know the word, but like the bad guys, so to speak, can potentially use that to get your two-factor authentication messages to possibly gain access to bank accounts or other websites or services you use your phone and two-factor authentication to sign into. So they're saying there was a small breach between June 8th and 10th, and they emailed affected subscribers. Mint was able to identify the port out and reverse the process to restore your service. However, the email also said that the individual who gained access could have potentially gotten access to your name, address, telephone number, email address, password, bill amount, international call detail information, telephone number, account number, and subscription features, because that's just like what Mint Mobile has, and the individual could have had access to your account. So that's what was going on. Dennis, initial thoughts and kind of reactions to this?
Really, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for anybody this happened to. And I hate to say this, but I feel slightly disappointed with Mint.
Yeah.
I feel slightly disappointed with them because as we were talking about this behind the scenes, like this is something that is relatively easy to protect against with two-factor authentication. Yeah, it's so true. And we've seen people on Reddit clamoring for that. I mean, if we go to the Reddit post, if only one of the top comments, if only there was some kind of way we could authenticate with more than one factor, right? Like, Dennis, as you mentioned, having proper two-factor authentication that's not SMS based, but rather is app based, where you're using Google Authenticator or even the Mint Mobile app. Like legit, they could bake it right into the Mint Mobile app.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that way, when you try and log in or make a change, you get a notification on your phone to, confirm that. And I think, Dennis, I'm not 100% sure what the process is, but I think this could have been possibly mitigated by just sending a text with an authentication number to your phone and like having to provide that to the rep before any kind of port takes place.
100% agree. That would have also been much better. I mean, look, when we were talking about this behind the scenes, I mentioned to you that if we're talking about who has the best security when it comes to keep protecting your phone number, it's Verizon. Verizon's really good about this. Like, here's the deal. Verizon, when you call them, they have you set up a PIN. So when you talk to them, you can authenticate yourselves. But if you wanted to port out my number on Verizon, you actually have to generate a transfer PIN. It's a single like 6-digit number, okay? And to generate the transfer PIN, first you have to be able to sign in to my account through my app or online, or you would have to have access to my phone to dial like a special code on the keypad. Once you're in to generate the PIN, they would then send me a 6-digit number to verify that I was the one generating the PIN before actually giving me the PIN to use to transfer my number, and then it's only good for like 7 days.
Yeah.
That is A grade. Like, Verizon, thank you for taking security seriously. Thank you. T-Mobile, and overarching, anybody that really uses T-Mobile, this has been a real problem.
This includes Mint. So Mint is a T-Mobile MVNO.
Right. I'm just saying, like, T-Mobile as a whole and MVNOs that operate on T-Mobile all have this problem. Like T-Mobile, all they have you do is make like a 6-digit PIN that you randomly have on your account, and that's the same transfer PIN. And I was talking about this behind the scenes. I can't speak for Mint because I haven't dealt with their customer service, but I know when I've dealt with T-Mobile, their training for the representatives in handling security is very lax. I would say that, like, I never pretty much get asked to verify my PIN on my account. They just go, "Oh yeah, it's you. What's your name? Oh, I'm Dennis. Calling about this number. Oh, okay, it's totally you." And they let me make changes to my heart's content. That's not good, especially when I've purposely and intentionally made notes on my account about, like, for example, if a SIM swap was to happen, it has to happen in store. I want them to see my driver's license. Like, that's something I want. Like, I don't want changes happening over the phone. But they clearly don't follow along with that. And then AT&T isn't much better. Like AT&T, they have you make like a 4-digit PIN, and that's like your transfer PIN, and they got some issues too. The only thing I like about AT&T is they do have a way that you can do like the whole in-store thing and force like your license to happen. And from what I can tell, they've honored that to a certain extent, or at least their representatives tend to take that more seriously. They won't even talk to me about my account unless I say that 4-digit number. So
yeah. So that's very true. I like Tello. It's not the best by any means, but what they do is when you sign up, you're automatically given an account PIN. Like, you don't set one. Tello just gives you one, and you need that PIN to do literally anything, whether it's placing an online order, changing an account setting.
Yeah, but what if it gets compromised? Can I change the PIN?
No, you can't change the PIN.
That's a problem. That's a vulnerability in and of itself. If it gets compromised.
I guess if someone knows your PIN, then
yeah.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a security expert, but I feel like that's at least a step in the right direction.
It's not much better. And also, Jason, Jesus, yeah, that's pretty bad. Last 4 digits of the line, that's even worse.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is know your phone number, and it's the last 4 digits of your number, and I'm good. That's pretty bad.
Jeez, yeah.
Okay.
I feel like I've ported out, and that was different for me, but it could be. I think with Tello, it was 000. Like, that was it.
Also,
and, like, the only thing saving you was your account PIN.
Also, I really want to quickly say, I want to respond to Glenn's comment. He said discount carrier, discount security, and I just want to say that's not the case, because this is a problem that's been happening T-Mobile. If you go on like r/T-Mobile, SIM swapping's been a known issue now for like years because of like coin-based accounts, people that had crypto and stuff like that. So like discount carrier does not equal discount security, and it's honestly an issue across the board. Actually, the real problem here is that phone numbers are being used in ways that weren't initially intended for. Like, phone numbers were not meant to be originally a 2-factor authentication method, like, at all. Like, they were not meant to be tied into your bank and like your whole life, right? But they became that, and unfortunately, all carriers except for Verizon haven't kept up the pace to be protecting these phone numbers. Like, these are really important. Like, if you lose your phone number, you're kind of screwed. Like, you're going to be locked out of a lot of accounts, like your bank or what have you. It's just not great.
I will say, so like, what do you do if you're a customer, you experience this, or you're like me, you're a current Mint Mobile customer and you might be feeling concerned about this? What do you do? Mint officially recommends you change your password that's associated with your account because that could have been compromised. And it's probably a good idea to switch that up a couple months anyway, or once a month. I don't know. It depends what you're looking for. And to the other points, it looks like U.S. Cellular also disclosed a similar hack in January with threat actors scamming employees to get access to devices. And in Reddit, I think someone was commenting that Boost Mobile was hit with the same attack and just hasn't commented on it yet. So something to keep in mind. I want you to feel as safe and comfortable as possible with your service. So if you feel this is an issue, I would consider porting out. I do think Tello has better security, but maybe look more into that before switching. And otherwise,
the best security is one where you can make and change the PIN, right? Like, at least with T-Mobile, I can call them and ask them to change the PIN. I don't like that I have to tell the person on the phone to change the PIN on my account. That's not great. So if you can find a company where no person you have to talk, you can just change the PIN online, like, that would be great. And then ultimately having two-factor authentication would also be great, like how Verizon does. Or if you could put some type of lock or block on porting out of your number on your account, something like that.
Yeah. All right. So Tello, you actually can change your security pin, which is good. So I want to clarify that. And I mean, yeah, at least they have a security pin, right? So I think this is an easy issue to solve from a. I don't know what goes into the technical development of it, but the solution is two-factor authentication. Use an app. Don't use. I mean, you can use a text message, but preferably use an app. And hopefully we get more security.
Yeah. And better training too for the reps, like training them and being aware about like phishing emails and stuff like that.
And I think too, like, I don't know if it makes sense to have a lock on your account, like here, block this number from being ported. Because I feel like if your account is compromised, then the person attacking your account can just turn that back off and you'd like be good to go or whatever.
I mean, they could, but like just having that there as like another extra layer. So like, I don't know. I mean, what if someone wasn't being malicious or better yet, what if there was, okay, so someone mentioned in the comments like Mint's poured out digits, like the last words of the number, right? Well, if I know that's the theme, right, then I don't even need access to your account. All I have to do is call up the X, Y, and Z prepaid company that I want to port your number to and be like, hey, I have Mint. Here's my number. Here's the port. Boom, it's gone. I didn't have to contact anybody, right? In that scenario. Yeah. So having that lock there prevents that from happening because when they try to go to the port request, they'll be like, oh, sir, sorry, there's something wrong with this number. We can't port it, you know?
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens. Again, I feel really bad for Mint. I feel really bad for the people who were affected. I still really do like their service, but it's just something to keep in mind if you're considering them. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say. Like, I hope it improves, and I think when Mint launches multi-factor authentication, that's when I would consider like signing up if you haven't already or reconsidering them.
Jason just corrected himself. He said you still need an account number for Mint. Well, that's good. From the way you were describing, I didn't understand.
Oh, okay, that. Yeah. So that is
okay. That's good. So account number and PIN,
which is that's typical.
Yeah.
Like your account. I think some companies will use your phone number as your account number. I think
a lot of prepaid Straight Talk does that, I think, too.
Yeah, Red Pocket did that. So that's when it's like, all right, account number, same as phone number, PIN, last 4 digits of phone number. That's a problem.
That's a big problem. I mean, and someone also commented by Skychunk. He was saying how like two-factor is done in a half-baked manner with T-Mobile because they let the person choose. But the real problem here is that two-factor authentication that you're talking about, Skychunk, that's just for logging into your account online. It doesn't stop someone from SIM swapping your number, and that's the real issue. That's the real problem. Like, you don't need access to my account to swap out my number. You just need to know my name and talk to a rep that's not going to ask you about my PIN and just be like, hey, I'm trying to swap this. I'm not even trying to port the number. I'm just trying to swap this SIM into my brand new iPhone 12 Pro. Will you please?
Oh, yeah. You don't even need to switch carriers. You just need to switch the physical SIM card.
Right. I need to activate that ICCID. That's all I need to do, ma'am. Thank you so much. Like,
I think that would be an interesting question or a test to possibly consider including on videos. Like, could I do that? Could I just call up and do that on a carrier?
I mean, if you want, I'm sure I'd get in trouble, but I mean, if you wanted me to, you could open up an account and I could pretend to be you. Like, hey, I'm Stetson Doggett. Can I?
Yeah. Dennis, maybe I'll sign that project to you.
And then I'll get arrested.
I feel like basic info, and then you can let me know if it works or not.
I mean, all I need to know is like I can look up your address on Facebook like anybody else would, and just be like, oh, here's where he lives. Cool, I know that. I know his first and last name, and I know his phone number, and I know his email. I think I'm gonna be golden.
I hope not. Jeez, maybe I should change my password. Kate, T-Mobile's reps are the nicest people, low key, but they're so gullible.
And that's the problem. You need to remove the human factor, and you need to train the representatives better. But you got to remove the human factor. Human factor always going to be the weakest link in any chain of the system.
Yeah, I think really what the problem is the system. The system is working as it's designed to work. So you need a new system that literally like puts a pop-up on the rep screen, like ask customer for temporary PIN. And like prevent anything from moving forward at that point until that PIN has been verified.
And if if you're gonna have an override because there's gonna be one-off situations, maybe the phone breaks or whatever, you gotta have like a supervisor, or you should have a policy where like if phone is broke and override needs to happen, you got to go in store and show driver's license or validate driver's license, something like that.
What do you think carriers like Mint, US Mobile, and others who are online only, what do you think an approach for them would be in that kind of situation?
I mean, they could have you email the driver's license.
Okay.
Very, very simple, right? Like, I mean, sure, I guess you could steal the photo, but there's usually information. Maybe you email the driver's license while writing down the time on a piece of paper beside it to like reflect like this is when the thing was taken. Like you write down the date or something.
I don't know, you can do some crazy things in Photoshop, but I see what you're saying. Like that would be a little bit better. We want to keep our accounts secure, especially when unfortunately our phone number is tied into banks which refuse to use proper two-factor authentication methods. But yeah.
Yeah,
That's what's it. I mean, definitely keep in mind, like hacks do happen all the time to T-Mobile, to major carriers. And just if something happens, change your password, try and keep everything safe and secure. And if you don't feel comfortable with Mint, that's totally fine. Consider switching to another provider. And if Mint adds two-factor authentication in the future, maybe it'd be okay to switch back to them.
I mean, and just to also be clear here real quick, I still use T-Mobile even though they've had more hacks than any other carrier, right? Like they literally lost my social. Like I was part of the Experian hack back in the day.
Oh no.
Yeah, like where they got like the 2 years of Experian, even though Experian was the one that lost like my social. But I mean, I don't know if this would be the deal breaker for everyone, but maybe it makes you think about say having a backup phone number like on Google Voice or something that you just use for your most secure content, for example.
I do that. Unfortunately, Google Voice doesn't always work with those systems. It's like an automated system going to an automated system, and it just goes, nope. But yeah, and Rob is saying, renewed 1 year for Mint on 3 months ago, and I'm second doubting my decision because of the recent security risks. I mean, this is up to personal preference. I personally feel okay. I think that it's a small number of people. It's hard to guess or understand exactly how severe this impact was, but I'm personally feeling okay. Like, I think Mint is going to address this. For them, just think about the employees, like how crushing that is to have to break this news to subscribers that something like this happened. Like that feels terrible. So I feel like Mint is going to want to do right and implement something to address this. And they're going to need time to do it, but I'm sure the team's working really hard to put something together and really address this.
And in the meantime, there are still things that you can do to protect yourself, right? Like I made the joke about Facebook, but maybe not posting your address on Facebook. That's like a really, like, people don't realize like how important like things like address are. So like maybe not put that on blast. Maybe try to keep your phone number off of general things, unless it's like signing up for like a service provider, like an internet provider or something. Like maybe try to keep it off of like different social media platforms. Rely on maybe Messenger or something like that, something that doesn't require you to do that. Maybe have like a main email for like where you do your recovery passwords and for these secure accounts, and have like a junk email. There's certain things that you can do to kind of protect yourself, and ultimately also making sure that you have, this is going to sound cheesy, but a nice little plug, have a password manager. Get random generated passwords for all your accounts. Don't use the same password for everything.
Yeah. And Dennis, you do an amazing thing that I think I should start doing. You use the random password generator to not only generate passwords, but to generate answers to your security questions.
Big brain. Yep.
Big brain move. I want to give a shout out to Dennis for turning me onto that because it's brilliant. I never thought of it. And that's another strategy to help keep your account as safe and secure as possible.
And the reason why you do that, by the way, is because security questions are meant so the reason why security questions exist is because they're supposed to be easy to remember to help you if you get blocked out of your account, right? But because they're easy to remember means they're inherently weak passwords. So you should never answer like your mother's maiden name, because that's something I can easily find out about you by doing a few quick Google searches, right? Like if I know your first and last name, all I have to do is look up your last name family tree on whatever that website was that I used back in high school to make my family tree. And boom, I find your mom and I find her maiden name and I know your answer to your security question, right?
Yep, password reset. Yeah.
And so that's why I say, like, I know there's vulnerabilities that come from using password managers, but generally speaking, I'm a big proponent of take the human factor out of the equation, right? Use the password manager. It's going to do far better for you as far as generating passwords for you. And also, we all know it's a pain in the butt to remember passwords. Let's be real here. And keeping them on a pen and paper isn't necessarily the most secure thing either. So I would highly recommend doing something like that. I personally use 1Password, which I don't know what you use, Stetson, but 1Password.
I switched over to MyKey. Same kind of deal, though.
And I think don't you have an affiliate link for 1Password?
I do. You're right, Dennis. Affiliate link in the video description if you're interested in getting a password manager. It's for 1Password. Feel free to check them out, and maybe they'll work for you.
Best $5 I've ever spent per month.
Dennis really likes them. Thank you, Dennis, for plugging our partner.
Yes, I really do.
All right. I think that's the show, Dennis. I don't have anything else to talk about here. Any questions from the audience? I mean, if you have something you want to get us to answer or to chat about, feel free to leave a comment in the live stream. Dennis, was there another topic or anything you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I wanna plug the Patreon real quick, shamelessly. To all the viewers that are here, if you enjoy what we've been doing, highly recommend you become a member of the Patreon because there's a lot of extra content going on behind the scenes. In fact, I've been steadily planning in the works to have a little hangout session in our Discord because it's something that's been requested by the fans. It's going to be something super chill. Probably going to watch maybe a movie together. Also been trying to set up like a little game of like a questionnaire trivia game that might be fun too to do. So I've been doing some things on the side to actually get some content going on my personal end that I think will be fun. Plus, if you haven't noticed in the chat, some people have some super cool emotes and emojis, which you get access to when you become a Patreon member. So if you're not already, definitely become a Patreon member. It lets us do so many cool things for the show, like upgrading our streams to 1080p, among other cool projects, and we definitely appreciate the support.
That was such a beautiful outro. I think we should call it there. Oh my gosh. As we're ending it, a super chat from the LG. Hey guys, I'm a truck driver all over, what is that, Nebraska and Ohio?
Northeast. No, I think it's Northeast.
Northeast and Ohio, West Virginia. Live in Virginia near Norfolk. Currently at Verizon on 5G ultra wideband. Do more on 5 lines plus 1 wearable. I use 75 plus gigabytes a month, while other lines use 7 to 10 gigabytes. Is there? I hope there's a second part to this.
Or maybe he means New England. Maybe he means New England. Is New England any?
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, I thought it was like Nebraska or something, but I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, look up what state any is, but
it is Nebraska.
Oh, it is Nebraska? Okay. Oh, yeah. He asked, should I go to ART or keep paying $500 plus a month? Oh, AT&T. AT&T, correct.
Yeah, typing on these keyboards. So let's run some numbers here, Dennis. We've got 5 lines, and it sounds like they're all on Do More. That shouldn't be $500 a month. Let's
unless
start
he's financing.
There. Yeah, unless you're financing devices.
Or he has insurance or something.
Do you want to pull up AT&T's plans, or do you want to pull up Verizon's plans?
Sure, I'll let you pull up Verizon. I'll do AT&T.
So I'm going to pull up Verizon's plans just so we can get a baseline of what the service is, because that's what we're going to be able to help you out here with, LG, the service level of the plan. So if we do shop on Verizon's website and we hit up the unlimited plans, and this is going to give us all the discounts. I'll add this to the stream now. 5 lines on Do More Unlimited is going to be $40 per line. And it sounds like you have 1 wearable, so that's an extra, let's say $20 to be generous. And that'll be like 5 times 40, $200 a month. So it should be $200 a month for service. Dennis, what are the options looking like on AT&T?
Well, 5 lines of Unlimited Elite, no discounts pre-tax, is $45 a line, or basically 45 times 5 is $225 for the 5 phone lines, because he has 5 phone lines, right?
Yep.
And then I think a wearable with AT&T to add on to the Elite plan, if I'm not mistaken, is only like $15 if I remember correctly.
I think it might actually be $20.
$20?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about, let's call it 20. So we're talking $245. What'd you say Verizon was?
200, maybe 220.
So yeah. I mean, but he said he's using a butt ton of data on his line, 75 plus gigabytes. So he might benefit from having the extra data since Verizon is more noticeable when it comes to DPRIO.
Yeah, I mean, what I would consider doing is if the other members of your family they're only using 7 to 10 gigs, like, why not consider throwing them on a U.S. Mobile family plan where it's $25 per month per line, and you might even be able to get away with something else, like $20 a month a line for 12 gigs. That could be pretty good. And U.S. Mobile uses Verizon for coverage, so they're getting the same coverage, and you can keep 1 line on Verizon if you really need that unlimited data.
I mean, I guess a question would be too though. Is there any discounts he qualifies for with his truck driving job? Like, does he have a
Yeah.
discount with AT&T? Because I know a lot of like businesses have partnerships with AT&T as being like the preferred like carrier option. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would consider like if you can do US Mobile and do the family plan, like you can see here, 3 or more lines, $25 a line. Your cost would drop to 25 times
Could he
4.
not just do 5 lines on there?
You can do 5 lines. Yeah. It just
So
says 3 or more.
so yeah, just do 5 lines on US Mobile and call it a day.
$125 for your phone lines, unlimited data, and then if you want to do a tablet, you can actually use a tablet with US Mobile's regular plans. So it'd be like $15 for 5 gigs, $30 for 30 gigs. I'm not 100%. I actually think you can use an unlimited line in a tablet, but please check that before, like just before you sign up, because I want to make sure. But you can definitely use these by the gig plans in a tablet.
And then I mean my move would be 5 lines US Mobile, right?
Yeah.
Take advantage of the free perks that come along with that, and then just drop the wearable line.
Yeah,
Like-
that's probably a good call.
Like, there's no need to have the wearable. Like, just attach the Bluetooth, like on your phone, because like the wearable's kind of useless if your phone's not around anyway. So like, I would just drop the Bluetooth line.
Yeah, but do keep in mind, if you are financing your devices, you'll need to pay those off before you switch. They are Verizon, though, so they should be unlocked, and they'll work on US Mobile perfectly fine. So-
King asked a quick question, and I'm not sure if you know the answer on that or not.
So AT&T, so the question is, hey guys, now that AT&T has a hard cap of 50 gigs on the $75 plan, do y'all think that Wing has a good deal for $65, 100 gigabytes? King, I'm not 100% sure what you're talking about because AT&T does not cap any of their plans that are listed as unlimited. You either have premium data, and then after the premium data, you are deprioritized. But from as Dennis and I have talked about, you're not likely going to notice the speed difference there. And Wing's plan, I was just checking that. Yeah, so it's $100. It's $65 for 100 gigs. Like, that's okay. But again, with AT&T prepaid, you're getting truly unlimited data on the AT&T network for just $50 a month flat. So I'd really consider that.
Yeah, honestly, you should drop the AT&T. You should do one of two things: either go from extra and go to prepaid. It's way better. It's literally it's literally the same thing. Or just bump yourself up to elite. Like the $10 difference at that point, it's so worth it. Like I converted Stetson, right? You love HBO Max like I do, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's great.
It is a fantastic streaming service. The quality is just it's just so good. In fact, when I get off this podcast, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go plop on my couch, probably eat some fresh fruit and berries that I made for myself. I just went to the store and watch some HBO Max. That's what I'm going to do. Oh, LG, thank you again, my man. And yeah, dude, thank you for the support. It means a huge amount to us, and I definitely look forward to you being in the Patreon because I want to see you in the Discord. That way we can interact more. That'd be awesome. So
yeah, you can join the Patreon. If you join the YouTube channel, you get instant access as well. Perks are the same whether you're on YouTube or you're on Patreon directly. And yeah. So King is thinking of switching from Mint to AT&T Elite for $75 with student discount. King, I will say, if you're on Mint right now, it sounds like you may not actually need unlimited data because Mint's highest data amount plan is 35 gigs, in which case you may consider, I mean, if you have a problem with T-Mobile coverage, like feel free to switch to AT&T. I would go prepaid again, like we keep talking about just how good of a deal this is because it's a really good deal. But you may consider T-Mobile prepaid. It's the same service as postpaid, $50 a month for unlimited data. So something to consider as well. And then as this podcast, I feel like went on, maybe we should consider starting like a dedicated like Q&A day or something. Like we got people like the LG looking for plan recommendations. I think that would be fun.
I definitely think so as well. And sorry if I got distracted. I'm looking at my security camera and there's someone in my front yard and I
Speaking of security, well, we better tie a bow on this podcast then. Dennis, you already did such a beautiful outro. Really quickly, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get extra perks and benefits. We really appreciate your support. You get to vote on what video I make next. You get to join the exclusive Discord server. You get access to the ultimate cell phone plan comparison chart, and it's lifetime access too. I never take that away. You always get access to it. And yeah, if you choose to support us, we greatly appreciate it. That is it for this episode. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And we look forward to talking to you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Peace.